What's going on, everyone? It's your favorite minority from the loud majority, touching base with the bass. I ain't been recording for a couple of days because my mic arm broke. I haven't been able to record. It's always something. It's not easy, man. Trying to run things, your own little channel, and having your equipment break, then have to fund and buy your own equipment again. So it's been a couple of days since I've recorded anything. I had to break out the old mic again. I'll be getting a new one soon, but that's not important. Um, it's me, your favorite minority from the loud majority, just touching base with the bass, back with another reaction video, reacting to the latest in the Trump hush money trial in New York City, the hush money trial, which we've already uncovered that there was no hush money paid. Um, so the Judge Merchant, is threatened to throw Trump in jail if he violates one more time. Um, Could he be serious? Could he be full of it? I don't know. Um, I do know that this is getting more and more interesting by the day, which is crazy to me because this case is really, it's probably one of the weakest cases against Trump, which is funny because it's going to be the one that actually gets him put behind bars, which is actually crazy to me and ironic that the weakest case that they're bringing against him is going to potentially be the one that gets him placed behind bars, but not because of a conviction, but simply because of being held in contempt for violating the gag order. So without further ado, I'm gonna get into the video. But before we do that, I want you guys to do me a huge favor and go pat that like button, pat that subscribe button. Make sure you guys are sharing the video content, the videos, the channel, everything. Make sure you guys are commenting. All comments are welcome. Okay. But without further ado, let's get into the video.
Former U.S. Attorneys Andy McCarthy and Brett Tolman. Gentlemen, we'll see how much we can get to here, but this is what's happening inside the courtroom right now. Judge Merchan just said it's clear the $1,000 fine is not working. He said going forward, this court will have to consider a jail sentence. He then said the last thing I want to consider is jail. You are a former president and possibly the next president, end quote. Andy, why don't we just start right there?
I'll start right there. Now, basically, he just admitted that they know Trump is going to win. They already know Trump is going to win. They've known Trump was going to win for a long time. I think about a year into Biden's presidency, they understood that if Trump was going up against Biden again, they knew that there was no way Biden was going to win. After we've seen what we got, all right, we have seen what we're going to get and all we're going to get out of the Biden administration. So they've known for a long time. I mean, if you really needed any further proof that this is all about election interference, which keep in mind, election interference is a federal crime. It does not matter if you use the law to interfere in an election. Let's say if you decide to bring frivolous cases or frivolous charges against the against a presidential nominee, it's still election interference. So I'm not sure if they'll be able to hide behind the fact, well, we used the law to go after him because he, we felt he broke, he committed these crimes and yada, yada, yada. That doesn't mean that you get away with election interference just because you decided to use the law. Now, it'll be interesting to see if Republicans, or not even just Republicans, but if anybody who actually gives a damn about the U.S. Constitution and our process, I mean, the last 4 years, they've cried and cried and cried about democracy and how we can't allow anyone to interfere with our election process and all that. But for the last couple months, we've watched them interfere in our election process by keeping one of the lead nominees for president, if not the main lead nominee for president, Trump, tied up in court cases. They keep him in New York during the week, so he has to stay there for court. He can't campaign like he wants to. So this is literally election interference. But they know that they're panicking. They know that most people understand what's happening here. Okay. It's almost like you gotta kind of like throw your hands over your eyes just to not see. If you have eyes, you should be able to see exactly what they're doing. Now, does Trump give a damn? He doesn't give a damn about this gag order. In fact, I mean, if you guys, if you remember, I think Trump not that long ago, he challenged the judge to arrest him. He said, arrest me and see what happens. Pretty much. Arrest me and see, how that works out for you. Arrest me and see how that's going to work out. I think we all know what's going to happen if they arrest him, if they actually put him behind bars. I mean, we've seen what happened with the mugshot, right? So they're panicking. Trump doesn't give a damn. Trump just walks into that courtroom, listens to those people, bullshit, walks out the courtroom and tells us exactly like it is, no matter what the consequences are. That's why he's getting my vote.
Because he's going to assess the gag order yet again. The gag order stays, but he'll assess the fine. So I think you're up to 10, 11, maybe 14 grand. I don't know. I lost count. Andy, go ahead.
That's wild.
Bill, as I said to you last week, if I were Trump, I basically bring in a check for 10 grand every Monday and just say whatever I want. This is all politics at this point. I don't think the judge, I mean, it's easy for me to say because he's not going to put me in custody.
That's
but
true.
I don't think the judge, because of the politics of this, it would be disastrous politics for the Democrats, for the judge to put former President Trump in jail over this. So he'll continue to fine him. And as long as that's what it is, I think Trump should just pay the fine and otherwise say what he wants to say.
Now, there's always a risk, right? You gotta understand that. Yeah, we can all say, just keep saying whatever you want. Just keep saying whatever you want. He's not gonna lock you up. But at the end of the day, the risk all lies on Trump. I mean, not necessarily all on him, because if he goes to jail, I mean, that's kind of a bad thing for us as a country. So I wouldn't say it's only on him, but he's gonna be the only one sitting in that cell. The rest of us aren't. So it's easy for us to say, just go in there and say what you want. He's not gonna lock you up. He's not gonna do it to you. These people are unpredictable. I mean, a lot of the things that we've seen from the Democrats and, these liberals for the past couple of years, we've never seen it before. I mean, this is the first time that a president has been criminally charged with frivolous charges. I mean, every legal expert I've listened to has basically, I'm not a legal expert. I'm not a lawyer. But what I do is follow lawyers, and I follow them as they break down the cases as they're going. That way I get as much information as possible, and that way I can make my assessment moving forward. You know what I mean? I'm not a lawyer, but I do follow some lawyers on YouTube, on Instagram, that do, follow the case very closely, and they break these cases down. They break each day in court down and give us details about how, the prosecution in a lot of these cases don't really have anything. They're just throwing things at the wall and hoping that it sticks. So it's easy for us to say, keep going in there and saying whatever you want, because at the end of the day, it won't be us that's actually put in the cell, it'll be him. And a lot of people think that won't happen, but you never know with these Democrats and these liberals. You never know. It almost seems like they're trying to cross every Rubicon possible. That way, moving forward, they've already set a new standard for our next political for our political leaders of the future. That way, they understand. Hey, I gotta be careful what I say and what I do, man. They're gonna throw me in jail. They're gonna lock me up simply because I don't agree with them. So it's easy to say, he could just say whatever he wants, but at the same time, maybe avoid it. But this is Trump we're talking about here. So we know he's going to come out. He's going to say whatever he wants after every day of the case. He's going to come out. He's going to say whatever he wants. So I guess we all just got to sit back and see what happens.
Okay.
He can't incite. He can't defame. And if he says something really stupid, the prosecutors can use that against it. That ought to be enough.
I want to go back to last Friday, late in the afternoon, Brett. Hope Hicks said this. Trump was worried about how this would be viewed at home, meaning the Stormy Daniels matter. Mr. Trump really values Mrs. Trump's opinion. She doesn't weigh in all the time, but when she does, it's valuable. And she also talked about him trying to make sure that his family is proud of his campaign. How much play does that have with the jury? I guess we'll find out when this thing wraps.
Well, Bill, it's a pretty simple calculation. At this point, the prosecution is not really worried about a conviction Because everything that they're identifying right there, all that you listed that was stated in front of the jury, really does outline where Trump was, what his mental state, and that's what a crime has to include, a criminal intent. At this point, we have not heard anything that suggests it was a crime for him to not want his family to hear some of these salacious details that were in the media.
And now, whether he did it or not, you know, whether the affair between him and Stormy happened or not, at the end of the day, that's not the point. The point is it a crime to conceal information or negative information about yourself? Is that a crime? I don't believe it is. I don't believe that it's a crime to try your hardest to not have negative information or negative publicity put out there into the media or put out there into the world about somebody. I mean, people do it all the time. Okay. Celebrities do it all the time. Politicians do it all the time. A lot of these politicians that are accusing Trump of doing it have done it themselves. Okay. There's a lot of things about these politicians that you wouldn't know about unless you actually did some real digging and real researching and finding out. Then you have to ask yourself, why is this not all over mainstream media? Why has, you know, this information not been put out there on a mainstream scale? That way voters can make up their mind about who they're voting for, right? So whether this was whether this event actually happened, whether this affair actually happened or not, it's not illegal to say, hey, you know, I don't want this type of stuff getting out there because it's going to make me look bad, especially to my family, to my wife. Whether you, and you got to understand too, being married and stuff like that, like whether you did something like that or not, even if you didn't do it, that it can have negative ramifications on your relationship or your marriage, even if you didn't do it. So imagine if you didn't do it, and then this comes out and it's very messy and it's very, you know, it's blown up all over the media, and then like, you know, your wife's that might take a toll on her to the point where she might decide that she just can't deal with that type of stuff, whether you did it or not. So I don't think that there was actual crime here. I think that this is a man who probably made a mistake. He probably did sleep with her. I don't know. I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying he didn't. And he just didn't want the information to get out there. He just didn't want anybody to know about it. Didn't want anybody to find out about it. Is that a crime? No, it's not a crime. It's not a crime to have sex with somebody and not want the world to find out about it. That's not a crime.
And it's not surprising. And the jury is going to react to that, you know, I think probably pretty positively, given Hope Hicks' testimony.
Now, what do you think of this whole idea, Andy? I mean, here we are at 9:38. Court could resume any moment now. And we have no idea who will be on the stand. It doesn't really matter about us. But it's the attorneys for the defendant. They are given no heads up to prepare, to get ready, just like when Hope Hicks walked out there at 11 a.m. on Friday morning. Maybe she comes back, or maybe we push on. Do you know of a case where the witness list was kept from the defense attorneys?
No.
I've never heard of such a case, Bill. It's usually not in the prosecutor's interest because the judge then has to give the defense, if it's going to be fair, the judge has to give the defense some time to get ready for cross, which means the jury sits around, which the prosecutor never wants. But, you know, it's not any less unfair, if you think about it, Bill, than having an indictment that doesn't tell former President Trump what the crime is.
Crime is, right.
So
So there you have it. Like everything that they're doing in these cases is some real live misconduct bullshit. Like how are you not allowing the defense to find out who the witnesses are for the prosecution? That way you can prepare for a proper cross-examination. That way you have proper questioning to prove your client, your defendant's innocence. Okay. You just bring some random person in without them knowing about it, and then boom, they just tell a bunch of lies. Let's just say a bunch of lies, which Michael Cohen, he was already arrested for lying on the stand once, and the prosecution is using this man again. Okay, they're using a convicted perjurer again as a star witness. A star witness. Everything about these cases screams misconduct. Okay, it's inappropriate. It's all these cases should be thrown out. Okay, this is why I hope that the Supreme Court actually does come back with a ruling that says that Trump has immunity, because if he does, then pretty much all these cases go away. And I don't think that there's actually, like he said, I don't think that there's actually like a want to actually convict this man, Trump. I don't think they actually want to. I think they just want to embarrass him. They just want to constantly drag him through the mud and have him tied up in these situations that constantly make him look bad. Okay. There's people all over social media that already, oh, you know, he's a criminal, he's this, he's that, and it's like he hasn't been convicted. He hasn't been convicted, but public perception is all that really matters nowadays. You know what I'm saying? So it's very, 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 very unfortunate that sometimes, you know, the media can say things and then it'll make the public make up their mind long before the trial even begins.
If he's not being even told what the crime is, which is about as basic as it gets as a due process violation, this is just par for the course. This is a travesty.
We are seeing new pictures now. This is part of the pool. The photographer goes in and takes a couple shots. And Dana, I can officially report to you, red tie, white shirt on this Monday. Brett, back to the whole thread of jail time. The judge also said the magnitude of that decision is not lost on me. Your continued willful violation of the court's order constitutes a direct attack. It will not be allowed to continue, not allowed to continue. Do you see this as a possibility that the former president would actually be jailed before this thing is gone to a jury?
Well, absolutely. The judge is boxing himself in his own corner at this point. Yeah. He's going to be the one that is going to threaten.
He is boxing himself into a corner because it's like you're saying all that. And if Trump decides to walk right out that courtroom and keep talking, and then you don't do it, you just throw empty threats. And your words mean nothing. Now, the Democrat Party is not going to allow him to make those type of threats to Trump and then not follow through. Well, they're not going to allow him to do it without some backlash if he doesn't follow through. Okay? If he doesn't follow through and Trump continues to say what he wants and violate the gag order, right? And the judge, even after claiming that he would throw Trump in jail if he continues to do it, and let's say Trump continues to do it and he doesn't throw him in jail, or you can bet that the Democrats are going to rip that judge a new asshole, okay? You can bet your bottom dollar they'll never let that judge live it down. So he is boxing himself into a corner where either if he doesn't do it and Trump continues, the Democrats are on his ass, okay? The Republicans are already on his ass about this whole thing because we understand that this case is bullshit. So now he runs the risk of upsetting, you know, the side of the aisle that he's on, you know, the people he supported and the people that he's donated money to. That's right.
And he's going to fine this limited fine, and he's doing it with the underlying order being unconstitutional. How does anybody that's in the position of Donald Trump, who knows it's an unconstitutional order, how does he, with all of his ability to communicate to the American people, how does he not make comments? How does he not talk about this?
How do you not talk about it?
He knows it's going to be an issue on appeal.
They basically, but it's the judge. It's almost like they basically it's almost like they're basically sending Trump out there with a muzzle around his mouth. It's just basically saying, like, just don't talk at all. Just don't speak. Don't say nothing. Don't talk about anything. Don't talk about anything, because no matter what he does, no matter what he speaks about, it's going to end up coming full circle and back to these trials, these cases. And when he speaks about these cases, he's not going to leave that one particular case out, right? He wants to prove his innocence to people, to his voters, and he wants to elaborate to them, you know, what's really happening. And he's not going to leave that one case out. He's not going to leave that one particular situation out, you know, when he talks about these things. So what they're doing is basically, I just don't see I don't see the end goal of all this. What is the end goal? Are you actually going to throw him in jail? Because I don't think you are. So what's the point? To me, you know what it's like to me? It's like when, you know, you're at the bar and that little guy, that little tough guy that just keeps screaming because there's people holding him back. And then when the people let him go, it's like, okay, we'll go. He's like, okay, well, wait. No, never mind. Somebody hold me back. Somebody hold me back. And then you make a fool out of yourself. So maybe that's the judge's plan at the end of all this. Maybe his ultimate goal is to make a complete fool of himself and not follow through. Or maybe it's all just to scare Trump, which I don't understand how they don't realize that that shit isn't working. You're not scaring this man.
Put himself in this position, and he's going to have to put him in jail because he's now threatened it. Otherwise, he looks feckless, and the president gets stronger.
Yeah. One other thing to add here, in addition to $1,000 fine for a gag order violation, the judge is saying by 2:15 this afternoon, May 6, 2024, any posts on Truth Social must be taken down. So that was ordered from the bench a moment ago as well. We'll see what we get, gentlemen. Andy McCarthy, Brett Tolman, thank you so much, fellas. And we'll pick a name out of the hat to find out who's going to be on that stand. Thank you, guys. Here's Dana.
Seriously. That's what's going to happen. Okay. They're going to continue bringing people into these trials that, you know, the defense is not prepared for. But I have no doubt that the truth is on Trump's side. I mean, we've seen the letter that Stormy Daniels signed and wrote that said that none of this happened. Whether it happened or not, how that is continuously being ignored, I don't know. How the letter that she wrote stating that this never happened, and even with her signature, I don't know. And then you have Michael Avenatti, her former lawyer, who's now coming to Trump's defense, saying that basically Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels came to him and told him that they were going to extort Trump, so it's all illegal. So either he did it and she was paid not to talk about it, or it never happened. Either one, not a crime. Not a crime. Okay? Not a crime when you come to find out that the president of the United States himself had nothing to do with the payments made to her. Okay, so let me verify that. Let me fix that. If there were payments to her, which has been proven in court that he had nothing to do with it, there was witness testimony to say he had nothing to do with it. He didn't even know. He didn't even know. So this whole thing is very, very sketchy. You know what I mean? And yet, they still haven't underlined what these situations, what crime these situations led up to. Because that's the whole point, is that not that what these things, him doing these things weren't a crime, but what they led up to. What they were in, what he was using this to cover up was a crime. Okay? Which they still haven't identified that. We still haven't even been told. Trump hasn't even been told what that is. Imagine being in jail, cuffed, and you're like, yo, what am I under arrest for? And they're like, oh, don't worry, you'll find out eventually. And it's like, what do you mean? Nobody's gonna tell me what I'm arrested for? Well, we don't know what you're arrested for yet, but we're gonna figure it out eventually. And it's like, well, how about you let me go until you figure it out? Okay? How about I not have to sit in the courtroom until you guys actually figure out what it is that you're charging me with, and then I'll come back. And then I'll fight it. But they're doing this to him because they just want to keep him tied up and they want to keep him wrapped up from campaigning. That's it, which is crazy to me. But it's not going to stop, because at the end of the day, May 11th, New Jersey, Wildwood, New Jersey. I'm actually in New Jersey. I'll be at the Trump rally May 11th in Wildwood. And I look forward to hearing him talk about the case. I just hope it doesn't backfire on him and eventually ends up in jail because of it. But knowing Trump is not going to stop talking about it. So I think we all might as well just accept that fact and buckle up for the ride and see what happens next. But yeah, so that's that, guys. But once again, it's your favorite minority from the loud majority, just touching base with the base. Back on another video. Make sure you guys pat that like button. Make sure you pat that subscribe button. Make sure you're commenting. Make sure you're sharing. Make sure you telling people to come join the channel. Make sure you comment. If you agree, disagree, I don't care, man. All comments welcome. I'm not gonna delete anything. I might go back and forth with you a little bit, but not for too long. Okay, I got a life. But it's me, Luis Angel Lopez. You can call me Luis. You can call me Angel. You can call me whatever you like. Have a good one.